Happy New Year to you all. What is going to be your theme for 2025? Last year, my word of the year was ascension. Ascension is all about rising up, doing things differently, and becoming unapologetic about growth and moving up and expansion. So what about for you? That word worked for me last year. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a wonderful one on certain levels, but we also know that we are complicated as human beings and we have a whole variety of needs, but we must be very mindful of our intimate relationships, because that is where many of our challenges will manifest itself. So what do you want for 2025? What do you deeply desire for yourself and for your future? It's really important that you are clear with yourself about what you seek. Tomorrow I am partnering up with a colleague and I will be at an event where I'll be visioning the future I want for 2025. I've been visioning for probably over 10 years now. Hey Mum, how are you? Lovely to see you. You know I love you, I will call you. And that has been one of the master ways that I have manifested the life that I have deeply desired. And I think it's so important that we get clarity about what it is that we seek for ourselves. What do you want for your life? Because if you are lackadaisical about that and not proactive and deliberate about what you want for yourself, it's one of the ways we end up looking back over the 2024 filled with regret, filled with disappointment that what we sought for ourselves, what we seeked, we weren't able to manifest. But the question is, are you deliberate about what you want for yourself? Are you conscious and deliberate in your actions to manifest difference? Many of us can get caught up in these all-consuming relationships, and everything is energy. If you know what I'm talking about, give me a heart, give me a like, give me some love out there, because it's some serious times. And many of us, we've been conditioned that intimate relationships should fulfill us, yet we end up in something that's lackluster. If you know what I'm talking about, bang me a heart, bang me a rose, or whatever it is that TikTok uses as symbols of your understanding and connection. Because if we have a habit of holding on too long, seeing the best in people while seeing the worst, and we have the capacity to reconstitute foolishness into stories of justification, what we actually do are we are unintentionally sabotaging ourselves. We need to be very real and very clear with ourselves about our intention. Otherwise, our life becomes one filled with regret. So become unapologetic about what it is that you want for yourself. I'm sorry to tell you this, and I'm not sure if other people are telling you this, but love will not always win the day. Self-love and unapologetic self-preservation is essential. We have to learn to overcome our fears and insecurities. In fact, I was saying this to my group, Navigate Narcissism Now, because you know we're a community of empaths who are unapologetically seeking a better life, better, healthier, wholesome relationships with ourselves. That we have to get clarity about what it is that you want. What do you deeply desire? Some of us don't even feel comfortable articulating what we desire. So we can end up settling for foolishness and settling for nonsense, all the while expecting someone else to change. Why do we want other people to change? Often because we don't want to have to do our own inner work. We don't want to have to look at what are our expectations, and why we may have disproportionate high expectations of others. Not great for your greatness. And that is a surefire way for you, hey there, Harry, to end up looking back on 2024 filled with regret and disappointment. But also, as we know, it's New Year, right? So we're getting ready. You've probably seen it all already. New year, new me. Yeah? For a lot of people, it's going to be New Year, same old you. Because you're still energizing the things that aren't working for you. You still give it energy. And this is a serious part of the issue that keeps us stuck looking back on 2024, filled with regret that we are not where we want to be. My question to you is, what do you want for your life? You love me, jacket. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. What held you back? Listen, you know your girl Key is here to keep it unapologetically real, right? Nothing's going to change for you in 2025 unless you start to look at what sabotaged you in 2024. And yes, many of us may want to blame the narcissist or the unnecessarily difficult person in our life, and I get it. It's totally understandable. However, you made choices. You may not have been conscious of them. Many of us aren't conscious of the choices that we made. Some of us, we gave a lot of energy to situations that weren't working for us. We lived in hope. We had an idea in our mind's eye of how it should be, and that dream, that fantasy kept us gripped. So when reality came along with its uncomfortable truths, what did we do? We ignored the signs. And actually what we did is we went against ourselves. And this is a massive part of what we need to become conscious of. We need to ask ourselves self-probing question. This is why I keep telling you, stop researching narcissism. It is not great for your greatness. Yes, you need a certain amount of insight to understand the fuckeries that you're dealing with. Absolutely. But unless you want to become a psychologist, be careful how much attention you give them. What is prudent and of a paramount importance to you, I truly do believe, is self-insight. I could tell you where I got the jacket. Just inbox me, Mark. Happy to tell you. Beautiful little shop, pop-up shop that they had in John Lewis. I've actually at the moment forgotten the name of the company, but once you come back to me, I'm more than happy to say. What didn't go well for you in 2024? What ways did you sabotage yourself in 2024? Where did you put your energy? Where did you place your energy that hurt you and harmed you? Did you overly invest in others? Did you put them first? Did you end up putting yourself at the bottom of the totem pole? This is why we have to be really conscious about the ways we sabotage ourselves. What is something that you need to overcome in 2025? What are you going to do differently? The reason I've been able to manifest the life of my dreams, and obviously there's other aspects I want to achieve that do at times feel elusive, but I know that I have power and dominion over my life, and I have choices. And one of the things that will prevent you from getting what you truly want is you won't let go of what's hurting you and holding you back. If you know what I'm talking about, give me a heart, give me a like. Many of us will not let go of what is not working for us. Discipline. Discipline is a hard one. I've had troubles with discipline myself, but what you have to do if you have issues with discipline is you have to learn to hack yourself. So one of the ways I hack myself is I have a team. I have 3 members of staff that hold me accountable. Every Monday at 10 o'clock, we meet up to explore where we're at and where we're going to. So that's just one hack. If you have issues with discipline, then potentially what you may need, my friend, let me know if this is helpful to you. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask, is you will need accountability. You need accountability because doing it on your own is not easy. You have to find ways to hack yourself, because if left to your own devices, many of us are trying to do this thing by ourselves because you read all the self-help books, right? And you watch the YouTube channels and the videos and so on, and you get great ideas. Many of us, depending on how your brain's wired, we have shiny new object syndrome. Big challenge I've had. Big challenge I've had. You see something else and then you want to go and run and do that. You see something like, oh, I like that, and then you want to run and do that. It means you don't commit to one thing. You don't commit to one thing. And so commitment combined with accountability is essential for you. God loves you. Amen. Every day, my sister. God absolutely loves me. Absolutely loves you too, loves us all. I have a husband who holds me accountable. Sometimes I feel sorry for him. Well, that's a beautiful thing. Listen, is it working for you? But you know, it's sometimes like we've got things that we want to achieve, we want to do, but you don't have a focus. It's a bit like a sat nav, right? If you don't put in the postcode, how do you know how you're going to reach your destination? You need to have an area of focus so that you can begin to work towards that ambition and goal, as well as breaking things down into bite-sized chunks so you get a victory. This is what we work on and Navigate Narcissism now. We start small because you want to build momentum. Some of your dreams, they're achievable, but they're too big, so they feel too far off in the way over yonder. Not great for your greatness. It's about chunking down so you get a sense of small victories. My journal that will be coming out this month is called the Victory Diary. And it's a space where we take time out daily to acknowledge our victories. It's so important to acknowledge the small victories. But if you want something different for 2025, then it's crucial you understand what happened in 2024 that meant things did not go well for you. Yes, it triggers because I know he is right, but I'm glad he's not holding me back. Well, that's a beautiful thing. What is the thing that you are working towards? What do you want for your life? My quote, my word of the year is leaning into love. I have to lean into it. And in doing so, by leaning into what I seek, inadvertently, I shift away from what is not love. Lean into love. Lean into what I desire. Sometimes what happens is we seek this, but actually our energy is focused on the opposite. And for many of us empaths, we don't want to let go. Our optimism is a beautiful thing, but you have to become conscious about whether you are focusing your energy in the right direction. This is where we get stuck. We are focusing our energy on what we don't want. The secret to getting what you want is to let go. Many of us won't get what we want because we're holding on to what ain't working for us. Am I lying? The writing's on the wall, but we act like we can't read anymore. ADHD and how household chores don't match very well. Well, then get a cleaner. My therapist tells me that I probably have ADHD. If I'm on my laptop, I've got about 20 tabs open. It's the way my brain's wired. It is what it is. But if household chores are an issue for you, then get assistance. get help, circumnavigate the problem rather than beating yourself up, because that takes energy. There are always ways to hack yourself, but you always have to look at what are the blocks? What is holding you back? What is the story you tell yourself? Be careful of the story you tell yourself. Is how you end up living a lackluster life. And I know we don't want a lackluster life, right? We want to be able to fly out, fly in, do things, have a abundant life. And an abundant life is a beautiful, wholesome way to live. I had a cleaner, but I want to do it myself. So I quit my job to learn how to take care of my family. Well, as long as that is in keeping with what you want for yourself, so be it. But sometimes there's value in having the job, because it kind of creates a beautiful... Listen, I'm home working today, right? And whilst there's much value in that, I'm also mindful that some environments are not helpful because you don't have structure. Some of us need structure. If you're only left to your own devices, you may actually be idle and end up sitting on TikTok scrolling for the next 5 hours. You know, these things can rob us of our time. Wagwan, FP, fitness practitioner, good to see you out there. Shigal, Kili Tamana, psychotherapist. I'm all about helping people to manifest. People really associate me with narcissism. And the reality is, I'm all about human potential. I'm all about helping people to see the ways you sabotage yourself. And the narcissist is just a beautiful way for me to support you to understand yourself better and your potential. What do you want for your life? Many of us, you know how much people I ask this question and they tell me what they don't want? I say, hello, sister, brother. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said? Sovereign, I see you. Thank you for the love. Feel free to share my life. That's what this keeps telling me to do. Yeah? Many of us are stuck in the mud, giving our energy away to situations that are not helpful, or we're being idle. You know, over this festive season, I've indulged in Netflix. Jesus Christ, that stuff is addictive. I could not have that in my house. I could not have it. I love to go like at my mum's. I sat down. I watched a documentary. I love the docs. Ain't gonna lie, I'm a nerd. Love the docs. I watched one on jungle, the rise of jungle music. Wicked, man. Love to see that, but I couldn't have Netflix at my house. No way, star. How am I gonna manifest my potential if I'm going from box set to box set? And that next episode kicks in real quick. Next thing, you thought you was going to sit there for the 50 minutes. Next thing you know, 6 hours, you can smell your own underarm because you've been there all day. And what company's that? Is the foolishness, the foodie in the grabbing on the go. Hey, yo, it's the festive season is over. I got to get back on my A game. How do you get more structure? How do you start? You've got to hack yourself. See, this really begins with knowing yourself. Some people are very, very self-disciplined and they're able to create that for themselves. One of the things I'm a massive fan of, I'm not sure I have the book here, it might be at my office, is a book called Willpower Doesn't Work. I would encourage you to invest in that. So, and I tell many of my clients this, you know, it may be beneficial to go to a different environment to do certain tasks that you might find boring. So I often go to the services where I might leave the car, the phone's in the car, and I only focus on a deliberate task, a task that I often avoid. So it's about learning to hack yourself. And remember, there's a part of us, the pleasure principle is really, you know, we're humans. We seek pleasure and avoid pain. So some tasks will make us feel uncomfortable, like planning. I hate planning. I find it really boring. It's too abstract for my mind. So what I'll be doing on the 10th is I'm going to meet with my assistant and we're going to plan together for each quarter for the year. That's a hack, right? It doesn't mean I avoid it, it means I have to hack myself, because if I'm left to myself, it won't happen. Start with a daily planner and stick to it. Small steps. Harry, yes, that can work for you, a daily planner. I buy all of them stuffs, you know, all of the things, and then all of a sudden, mid-January, they're just sitting there looking at me because I haven't stuck to them. What I have found very helpful is a 5-minute journal, because you have to write down just 3 tasks, and 3 is a really important number for human beings. Anything more than 3, we get overwhelmed. So sometimes if you set yourself a goal, you start with 3, but one thing kind of leads into the other. So you end up making tracks and making inroads. So it's really about understanding the uniqueness of who you are and what things you might need to put in place to hack yourself, to override, to trip yourself up. So for example, people often think my car's a mess, but they don't understand that on the front seat, what looks like mess is actually activities that I need to do. So it always looks like, why is your front seat always full? Yeah, because that's a refund. That over there is something I need to take to the office. So there's a deliberateness to that. But to the untrained eye, it may look like mess. But to my mind, it's deliberate. And things are set up in a particular way, because if I don't visually see it, I'm a visual learner. If it's not in view, I will not remember. These are important self-insights. So let them judge. They don't know. I'm not going to sit there and break down that I'm a visual learner, and if I put it in the back of the boot, I'm going to just get out the car and forget. I'm not going to explain it. It comes from a level of self-awareness, knowing your learning style and what helps you to get things done. Out of sight, out of mind is exactly how you know what I'm saying? You know how much stuff I've had in the boot of the car that I've meant to take back or drop off to the Amazon to get a refund, and and then I go and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Why? Because I didn't put it on the front seat. If I put it on the front seat, it irritates me. It's now in my mind's eye, and it's something I will get done. So let people judge. The more you know how your brain is wired, the more empowered you will be. Trust me. Trust me. And let other people judge that. You know? It's okay. My mum judges that I have a cleaner, and I'm absolutely fine with that. But you know what my cleaner does? She also does the ironing. Oh my God. Do you know how much clothes I have that I never wore because they needed ironing? And my mum's like, I brought you up better than that. I said, Mummy, I know. However, I'm not going to spend my mum used to spend Sunday afternoons ironing for hours. I'm just not going to do it. It's just not going to happen, so those garments don't get worn. And now I have dedicated time where it gets done. I'm pretty proud of myself, you see? You gotta learn to hack yourself, man. You gotta learn to hack yourself. What did you say here? Small steps build confidence that you can trust yourself. Set your own bar, not what society thinks. Absolutely. And this is the value of having accountability, but also is the power of self-insight. Many people come to see me. Obviously, I specialize in narcissistic and toxic relationships. And let me tell you, they're surprised how far it goes. We look at your career, we look at your aspirations, and make small, consistent changes to all aspects of your life. I don't work with people in silos. I'm interested in your job, because the thing is, if you're dealing with narcissism, yeah, you're dealing with the narcissistic individual, let me tell you, that's not the only place that this stuff is showing up in your life. I can haphazard a guess, you're going to be in a job where you're undervalued as well, where you may not know your worth. It shows up in all aspects of our life. Friendships, how you regard yourself, how you view yourself, how you hold yourself back, and how the multiple ways that we say no to ourselves. And often this is another one that catches people. You're waiting for the confidence to come. It don't work like that. We step without the confidence The confidence grows through the action of taking the action. You think when I first did my YouTube video, it was on point? Lord Jesus, that's why I keep it on there. I wasn't even looking at the camera. I don't know where I was looking, but it was not at the camera. But it's having courage. I think courage supersedes confidence. If you have the courage, it means you will try. And the confidence comes from the courage. I like that. Sounds like a video. I shouldn't make a note of that. Courage precedes confidence. Courage. You have the courage to try. And that is what builds confidence. Yeah, I like that. I believe that. That makes sense. Am I lying? Am I lying? Let me know, my people. You just addressed my thought without me saying it. Confidence. I struggle with this and freeze. Yes, but like I said to you, it's not, confidence comes. When I started to do the YouTubes, like I said, I look at the video and I ask myself, where the hell was I looking? It was about having the guts to try. And many of us won't try because we think we have to be confident first. It doesn't work like that. It actually works in reverse. But it depends. You see, if you have a very dark, difficult inner critic within, you will humiliate yourself and you will be cruel and unkind to yourself. This is a massive issue for us empaths. Our internal dialogue is off key. We are brutal with ourselves and we wouldn't talk to anybody else the way we talk to ourselves. We wouldn't do it to other people. We'd be kind and encouraging and so on and so forth. But when it comes to us, Lord Jesus, we are brutal. Experience teaches wisdom. So the process is actually about having the courage to try, which is why we start small. You got tarot on your deck, you see? You see how the universe is working? That's a bit of synergy there, my sister. Synergy is always powerful. That's when you're starting to get signs. You're starting to connect the dots. Courage. I think one of my mentors said to me that, I remember she said to me, you know what? She said, Keely, you know what I love about you? You just got courage. You've got courage. And I think my courage comes from, I have nothing to lose. What was I going to lose? I'd worked at IKEA on the tills for 10 years. So to try another vocation, another career, I knew I didn't have much to lose because I knew what I would go back to. Excuse me, can you leave the yellow bag behind, please? A blue bag is £1.25. That's what I knew I was going back to. So why not try? What have I got to lose? That is the advantage of disadvantage. If you know what I'm talking about, give me a heart, give me a like. There is an advantage to disadvantage. Trust me. It means you ain't got nothing to lose. So why not give it a go? What's the worst that can happen? As I learned in NLP, there is no failure, only feedback. Only feedback. No failure, only feedback. And have I failed? I've never failed. I just got a lot of feedback. I got a lot of life lessons. Broop, broop, if you know what I'm talking about. Trust me. Failure, if you think of things, and this is one of the things you have to understand about your mindset, is if you have black and white thinking, fail, succeed, not great for your greatness. Black and white thinking is not great for your greatness. And I'm so grateful I don't have that. Because either way I learn. Either way you learn. This is why I'm an advocate of having experiences. So many people I meet want to control life. And the life becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. The life becomes humdrum. Because what? You won't go outside of your comfort zone. You won't try something new because you're hypothesizing about the 25,000 million configuration of if I did this, this could happen. I was like, how do you know? You haven't had the experience. Go and do it and come and chat to me. You know, I'm not your traditional therapist. I ain't traditional by any means, but I am grateful for my uniqueness. Amen. Someone once told me life happens in the grey areas. Absolutely, life happens in the grey. Yeah, I don't know. The grey doesn't strike me as optimistic. But I guess if you are a black and white thinker, see, black and white thinkers, they're all or nothing. It's succeed or fail. And life isn't like that. Life is about experiences, and we go through processes. You didn't just start as a baby to walk. You went through a process. See? You got up, you fell down, you held on, you see? You developed strength. You didn't just walk. Humans go through processes. And I think that's one of the challenges that shows up in the therapy room. People want to be where they want to be. People don't like the process. But in the process, we must trust. Don't trust me. I don't always like the process, but I respect it. Because what happens is over time, you can look back and be like, you know what? I never welcomed that. I never wanted that, but I'm grateful I went through it. Hallelujah. Let us sing the glories of our victories. Life is not easy. Let me know what questions you have. Traditional therapists are the best type. They're authentic. Why do you have a fake Caribbean accent? Because I do. And I'm grateful that I have it. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of my identity. So I thank you for your comments and suggestions. You know me? You know my culture? You know my heritage? I doubt it. Hey ho, so what do you want for 2025? What do you want for your precious life? You see, like I said before, self-preservation, we have to become unapologetic about self-preservation. Because when you don't self-preserve, you are leaving yourself in a very vulnerable position. Vulnerable to the needs, desires of others. And this is why at this time of the year, everybody's talking about new year, new me, setting new goals. What do you want for yourself? What is the vision you have for your future? But ultimately, when you vision for your future, you have to become crystal clear about the ways that you sabotage yourself. What are the ways you sell yourself short? What patterns do you keep repeating again and again in your precious life? You have to be clear about your patterns. Because if we don't become clear, because remember, many of us are caught up in our thinking head. We're always trying to work out, if I do this, then I should be there. That's that black and white thinking. But ultimately, you are your unconscious rules. I'm reading a wonderful book at the moment called The Righteous Mind. It regards, I hope I do this analogy justice. The elephant is the unconscious, and the rider is the conscious mind. So whilst the rider likes to think that they have control, you don't. So much comes from the unconscious. And the more that you can get to understand the uniqueness of who you are, the better off you will be. How can we stay focused and positive when the world feels so hopeless right now? Kay, my question to you is, where are you absorbing the hopelessness? You see, you have to become unapologetic about what you allow into your mind. Because if that is what you are allowing into your mind, then that will form your consciousness and view of the world. This is why for way seekers, change makers, mavericks, we don't watch the news. We don't watch it. What are you allowing into your consciousness? How can we stay focused and positive? positive. I'm not always a fan of positivity. I'm not sure if you're conscious of toxic positivity, but that is a very dangerous game. It shows up many times in the therapy room, often where people are really struggling because what they've constantly done is reconstitute bad situations. What happens is with toxic positivity, you don't allow yourself to feel any negative thoughts. You don't allow yourself to feel bad. So what actually happens is you end up compartmentalizing. You end up putting things in various boxes and pushing things away. Not great for your greatness. Then it's my duty to assist you, to help you understand why you need to feel what you feel. Your feelings are your truths, and they are to be acknowledged. Otherwise, you go into repression, suppression, which leads to depression, because these feelings are intolerable to you. And on my program, we look at emotional eating and how emotional eating is ultimately connected to difficult feelings that we don't want to acknowledge. So what shows up is an unhelpful relationship with food, but actually it's not really about the food. That's the tip of the iceberg. It really truly comes from our desire to avoid difficult emotions. I hope that makes sense to you. Hi, I'm thinking of leaving my first year of college. Opinions. Why? What is your desire to leave? I would need to understand more. Yeah, it's a niche topic. I'm not thinking of going into that field. It's good enough to keep on the side. Yeah, it really depends, you know. There's a lot to it. It depends on your family of origin, education. Was it pushed? Are you pursuing something you're passionate about? I believe education is a really important vehicle for self-validation at times, depending on what your thing is. Education has been a transformative tool for myself. I'm unapologetic about that. Education has been fundamental because it came with structure. It came with a goal. So I knew in 4 years I would get that qualification. So as a way to validate yourself, it can be a very powerful tool. So be mindful of that, but it depends. It depends in terms of your choice, why you've decided to take that avenue, and what you hope. What are your intentions for your life? And sometimes we're not even clear about what our intentions are. Sometimes, sometimes there's real value in just following the clues. Pursue what you love. Pursue what you would study, like, even if you didn't get a job out of it. They say that's one of the surefire ways to live a good life. And I'm very blessed to say that I've followed what I love. And I do have I have a good life. Toxic positivity is so dangerous. My husband would use toxic positivity to lecture me for hours. Toxic positivity is where uncomfortable feelings end up in our shadow. And that actually ends up having much more power over your life. You gotta be careful of this stuff, peoples. It's no joke. It's absolutely no joke. What we suppress will become expressed, and that's one of the ways. It happens in ways where you sabotage yourself. So as we roll into a new year, new me, my question to you is, what are the ways you sabotage yourself? How did you sabotage yourself in 2024? And what will you do about it this year, if anything at all? Or are you someone who points the finger over there and they did this to me and they did that to me? Because if you do that, we may well have a problem. I used to be a victim of toxic positivity from myself, then to others. It's a coping mechanism, and at times it can be helpful. Well, toxic positivity is never helpful, but it's a very common issue, especially nowadays. And as a therapist, I'm picking that for people. I could see the discomfort, but like I said to them, listen, trust the process. We need you to feel what you feel. Trust your feelings, they're truths, and they are alerts. Your body is wiser than your mind, but we often live in our heads, wanting to be in control, wanting to be able to plot that if I do X, Y, Z, X will happen. Okay, if you say so. And then what happens when life lifes you? Because life will life you, you know. Life will absolutely life you. And then what? Then you're all discombobulated, aren't you? Eh? Because you thought you were in control. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We need to be conscious. What do you want for your life? What is the vision that you have? But ultimately, what went well for you in 2024? What were the successes that you had? You know? What did go well? What are you proud of? What is your victory? My victory bell. You know, I ring my victory bell for my clients. We got to acknowledge our victories, especially the small ones. The small victories are what paves way for the bigger victories. I'm self-sabotaging, trying to convince myself I can remain in my marriage as codependent. I hear you. The fact that you're acknowledging that is vital. It's so vital that we acknowledge that we're hanging on. Sometimes we need our rock bottom. Sorry, not sorry. You know, we keep it real. Maybe you're not discomfortable enough. Is that a word? You know what I mean, though? Sometimes the discomfort is bearable. So we can tolerate it. So maybe many empaths, we can be reactive. So the discomfort has to become to such an unbearable point that you make a choice. Or you could decide for 2025, new year, new me, to be proactive. And that's a game changer. Being proactive is a game changer. If you usually function from a reactive stance, where the pain has to get so bad, so terrible, you're almost forced to take action. You know, when you have like, I don't know, a toothache, and you kind of take a tablet, carry on, but then it gets to the point where the whole mouth is swollen. Now you have to do something. Now you have to do something about it. Because when it niggled, you ignored it, right? But now the pain is so damn intense, you have to make an action. And maybe for some people, maybe for you, that is you will be reactive rather than proactive. And maybe the value for 2025 to do things different is to be proactive. That doesn't mean you get up, pack bags and leave. But it may be that self-preservation, you're going to be proactive about self-preservation. And that can be a game changer. That is actually a part of getting in the driving seat of your own life. That is about you taking back the steering wheel. And that is brave and it's courageous and is the birthplace for change. If you need any more tips on that, inbox me. The discomfort is bad, but I'm scared to leave him. Well, like I said to you, you don't have to leave. It's about being proactive. Or you can live a life based on fear, you see. You see, we have choice. I don't know the uniqueness of your situation, so it would be wrong for me to say. But fundamentally, if I take the principle, you have to decide whether you live a life of fear. It's scary even when you know what you need to do, absolutely. But fear, again, is all in the head, right? Now, obviously, we're human beings. We have a nervous system. And so we'll have a whole range of body-based reactions that come along with that. But I think fundamentally, you have to look at your relationship with fear. Is it irrational? Rational? Are you scared of being by yourself? Important questions to ask. And you may well be in a codependent relationship, But getting support for yourself, like I said, doesn't mean you have to leave. It just means you're just working on yourself. I've worked with many people who are still in those relationships. Doesn't mean we always leave. Life ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? But we can still strategize. We can still invest in ourselves. Doesn't mean you walk out the door. But the problem is fear often means you're living in your head. Fear if this happens, fear if that, and then you hypothesize about the 21,000 configurations, what will happen if you take one action. But you haven't taken an action, so it's just a theory and a hypothesis in your mind. Because in reality, you haven't taken any steps. Am I lying? You know what I'm talking about? Can you heart, can you like, can you heart, can you like? Sometimes when I experience fear, I know that's exactly the place that I need to go. The fear alerts me. The fear alerts me to that's my area of growth. My ego doesn't like it. My ego wants life to work on the terms I want life to work on. Keely's ego is like, oh no, but then what will happen? What will people say? The voice kicks off. We all have an inner voice. But if I stay in fear, I know it's not my greatest. It's not great for my greatness. Put it that way. Simple terms, man. It's not great for my greatness. I refuse to live a life based on fear. It's not how you manifest. It's not how your dreams, it's actually to get out of the comfort zone, to face them. You face them would be my hunch, but what do I know? All I know is it worked for me. Back to that old adage, feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Like I said, Sleepy, it may be best that you access support in your local area. I'm not sure where you are based, but do start to have a little Google around about what potential support is available to you. I am not able to comment on the complexities of your situation. I'm not your therapist. So, but as ever, you know, I'm not sure where in the world you're based, but what support is available to you, because some of those concerns are real. They are real concerns. Yeah, man, definitely. Have a Google. No sorries, no sorries. It would be wrong of me to advise you. I don't have the full picture. But if you want to consult with me, inbox me, sign up for a call. Actually, I need to put my diary online and let's have a conversation. Yeah? Because it really, with this international audience, sometimes I'm getting, you know, people from various parts. I can't give, you know, specific advice because, like, you know, if you're in outer Mongolia, it's very different from if you're in the Western world and you might have an agency up the road, right? It's very different. Women's Aid, yes, I've supervised many of their therapists. Women Aid's a very important charity available. West London, I believe. Well, my supervisee was based in West London. So yeah, really important. And if they offer free therapy as well. Yeah, you're in America. Well, you know, America, you got support out there. Yeah, have a Google around. You know, proactive. What will you do? And this is a question to you, Sleepy, but may also be something for others to reflect on. What are you going to do differently in 2025? In what ways do you need to be proactive? Let me tell you the difference between... I'm just going to own it for myself, right? The difference between me and, say, some of my kind of contemporaries is that I will take action. I guess because I don't have black and white thinking about it. So being proactive is a game changer. Being proactive is great for your greatness. Do I always know where I'll end up? No. But I am more concerned that if I don't take action, stagnation ain't great for my greatness. You know what I'm saying? Stagnation ain't great for human beings. Stagnation is how you become depressed. So stagnating is dangerous. And so you need to become conscious of that. So the game changer for me is about taking action. Yeah, many of us are living in stagnation. Stagnation. Yeah, stagnation ain't great for your greatness. Humans ain't built for stagnation. You ever walk past stagnant water? It smells potent. Yeah? Your nose knows it. You go to eat something, it don't smell right. You won't go there, will you? It's hardwired into us. That's the unconscious. That's your nervous system. You stay away from it. Many of us are stagnating. That's why we end up sad and depressed, because we are not manifesting our potential. Most mental health problems are due to not pursuing potential. And I know that is contrary to what everybody else says, and I don't care, because I see it time and time again. When you are not manifesting your potential, you will stagnate. And when you stagnate, you become sad, because there's a part of you that knows you can manifest more. There's a part of you that intuitively knows you can do better, but your head's trying to work it all out. So what do? Nada. Nothing. You waiting for someone else to change. You think somebody else gonna come and rescue you when they leverage themselves from you and they live their best life. When you can't even say yes to buy a little new frock or a little new shoe. Sorry, not sorry. We have to talk the things. You ain't going to manifest in 2025. You're going to manifest the same stagnation if you don't get proactive. Sometimes it's just by making one phone call. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not. I'm not the therapist for everyone, but for someone, we're a great fit. I say it how I see it. I say it how I see it, peoples. And sometimes it just needs to be told. There's a good darn reason why you're sad and depressed. There's a potential within you. Some of us feel like we should be living an alternative life. And that is a sign. That's a sign. But some of us, I don't know what you're expecting. There's always signs. But because you can't see how things will work out, you don't take any steps. Or you have some sort of expectation that if this person changed, or if they did this, that, the other, if they loved you and valued you and treated you better, your life would be better. So what are you doing there? You standing up there waiting on the bus that ain't coming. A sign, when you get signs are unique to you personally. It's the way that the Creator speaks to you uniquely. So signs can show up again and again and again in different ways. But it depends if you're attuned to signs. You ever notice something? I remember there was a time when I was doing my degree and I wanted to give up. It was just too hard. I couldn't get it, And then the song came on. Yes, you gotta be strong and do all the best you can. The world is out there, conquer your fears, and don't you wait too long. And the song came on at the right time. That's a sign. You see, when fundamentally, I believe it's a spiritual walk. Now, for people who don't have a spiritual bone, I'm not sure I'm the therapist for them, because, the spiritual aspect is so fundamental to how I view the human experience. But when you align your potential with a spiritual walk, the signs show up uniquely to your frequency. You might turn on the radio and a song just hit you, or you watch a film. I was watching, at my Netflix binge over the Christmas season, I was watching The Story of Wham. I love a documentary. And I was just looking at the way Wham pursued their belief. George Michael had a belief within him. And he just kept pushing and following and being rejected and kept pushing through. And that resonates with me. That story spoke to my story. So It's about, you'll find resonance. Something will inspire you or trip up a part of you. And that is a really important part of your identity you need to pay attention to. Signs. I had a client and she used to see pineapples. She'd never told anyone before. It was a beautiful session. I'll never forget it. Love her. She's now written her book. At last she wrote the book and got it published, right? So her thing was pineapples. She's like, Key, I see them everywhere. I was like, oh, pineapples. One of mine was keys. So God may show up in signs with you with symbols. I have 3 symbols: keys, bridges, and trees. And so sometimes, especially in your dark hours, watch out in your darkest hours, you might get signs. In my darkest hour, God always sent me sign. And then I'm like, oh, I just have to surrender to the process. This is bigger than me. It's not about you. That's when you know that's living a purposeful life, which is essential for living a good life. You gotta live a purposeful life. There's levels to this. I should probably write. I do think about doing a doctorate sometimes so I can plot it all out. But when you combine that with a spiritual walk, numbers, you've got numbers, 1111. Who gets to 1111? I get numbers too. There you go, Roger. You see? You see? You got some people get number. I get 1111. 1111 is a weird one, isn't it? Isn't it weird how it shows up sometimes? Sometimes it's overwhelming. But you see what the challenge is with it? Is it requires faith. Your brain is always trying to work it out. The brain is a sense-making tool. It is always trying to work things out. When you get signs, you can't always work it out. It requires faith. That's what it requires, to step in faith. Ooh, now we're alive. Now I'm like, yeah, let's see how this thing works. It requires faith, and it requires you to be proactive. Jesus Christ, this is good material here. This is a dissertation. This is getting me my doctorate. It requires faith, and it requires you to not see we walk by faith, not by sight. You see? Many of us aren't flexing that. Listen, when you don't have the spiritual bone, I don't know, the journey is tough. It's tough. I'm just leaning in. I will lean on you. There we go. Oh, it's making me laugh. Mine alerted me to a fox to show me each time someone in particular was lying to me. Okay, Kaylee. Okay, you see? Signs. People get animal signs. Yeah, mine's just trees, keys, and bridges. Bridges keep showing up for me. I have a bridge here. I have 2 bridges. San Francisco Bridge. Bridges are my thing. Bridges to me are symbolic of going from one thing to another, a process, the journey. I think so anyway. I don't know what it is. Sometimes you can't even put it into words because just get symbolic meanings. I can confirm, don't have the spiritual bone and it's tough. Okay. I hear you. Yeah, when you don't have the spiritual bone, I always try to ask clients after a time, like, do you believe? And people, people always say, I don't do religion. I'm like, okay, but do you believe? Usually there's something. But like I said, the challenge is if it's a frequency, if you could tap into the frequency, it's probably already, you might just not notice it. You might not notice it, but it's communicating to you, but you're not attuned to the frequency. It's like a radio station. You met old school radio station, not DABs. You just have to tune it slightly. You lock in. But I hear you. It is something that I notice, because for so many of us, we lean on our own understanding. And like I said, the brain is always trying to work things out. And because the brain is trying to work things out, when you can't work things out, it's very difficult. Very difficult. And I think it's also sometimes, this is a bit of a leap, but what I also see is that people can have lots of stuff, the material stuff, but there's a void. Over time, I've found less desire for the material, because I guess something deeper has been activated. I remember once when I was working in prison, this guy had come in and he was on the wings in his full regalia, all his name brand clothes, Vivian Westwood, I think it was. And I don't know why, but we got into some sort of an interchange, and I said, maybe one of the things you need to develop is self-confidence. Maybe if you had more self-confidence, you wouldn't need Vivian. And I walked off. He said, you're feisty. Hey, yo, you're feisty. Well, maybe your need for Vivian Westwood is why you're on the wings. Who knows? Maybe I'm just being cheeky and feisty. The void is real. I'm materially comfortable, but something is missing. How do you tune in? Okay. The void. You got the void. The fact that you are talking about having the void is the victory. Is the victory. There are some clients, this flashed through my mind recently, who work with me, and they say, I don't know what it was. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I know I needed to work with you. Something, I don't know, but when they say it, I already know we're going to have a beautiful connection. We're going to have a profound connection. I just feel it, because it's not, their head can't work it out, but they're trusting something within. So I think the very fact that you are dialoguing about this very topic, in and of itself, something in you is being activated. Because you already know, you're comfortable, you physically around you, you have everything you need. But there's something within. Fundamentally, I think this is a very important aspect of the human condition. This is why in the West, so many are depressed. Because our connection with spirit has been compromised and replaced with consumables and distraction and entertainment. But maybe I read too many books, who knows, you know what I mean? Don't want to frighten people. Maybe that's the quest. Life is good, huh? 2025, we give thanks for another year. We are blessed to be alive. I know some of us may not feel like it, but remember, there's many who's dropped off, who wish they could come back for just a moment. Started after I lost my soul dog and hasn't stopped. Okay. Signs and wonders. We've kind of evolved into talking about signs and wonders and potential. A beautiful way to live and enhance ourselves, but fundamentally, get clarity about what you want and becoming unapologetic about preserving yourself. And this is where we have to deny our ego. I know my ego wants to hold on. My ego can often believe in the potential of somebody, and as such, I can hold on in hopes of seeing that manifest. But I already know that if I get involved in that part of my identity, I will sabotage myself. Let go. Move on. Focus the energy on my dreams and aspirations. Take back the focus. Let go. We are not here to change people. It is our duty, I truly believe, to accept people as they are. Accept people as they are. But for many of us, that's very difficult, and we make it our duty to try to change them through often acts of kindness, going above and beyondness, making justifications for poor behavior, not great for your greatness. You're sabotaging yourself when you do that to yourself. And if you don't if you don't evolve out of that behavior, so when I see that aspect of self, as a recovering people pleaser, right? I'm very aware of this aspect of myself. That's why I'm a helping professional, Because if this was a behavior I used to exploit in my personal life, why don't I make a career out of helping others professionally rather than being used and abused? You know, so many of us, our empathy is actually a really important skill that could be harnessed into a career. And the beauty of like training as a therapist is then you learn how to put boundaries in place. You truly, really get it. You truly, really begin to get it. But I'll never pretend that that part of me is gone. It's not gone, but I'm conscious of it. And so I know when I'm working against myself, I know when I'm self-harming, if I hold on and I don't let go of what is harmful because, oh gosh, they got such potential. Oh yeah, but they had a difficult childhood and, you know, they didn't get enough hugs and maybe they just didn't. No hypothesizing about what is going on for them, what is going on for me. And if I know that what is going on for me is I am right in the seat of my unhelpful behaviors, then I have to protect myself from myself. Some of us need a block party to protect ourselves from ourselves. Some of us need to uninstall certain apps to protect ourselves from ourselves. So you don't feed that part of you, because trying to change someone is ultimately about not us not doing the work on ourselves, and it's really seductive. But your awareness, if you can develop the awareness that this is where I sabotage myself, then you can make a different choice. Now, what happens when you make a different choice is you're going to feel very uncomfortable. The ego will kick in. But defy the ego, especially if you're living a purposeful life. Defying the ego is the quest. Defy the ego. Before materialism, we had better connection. Difficulty finding those wanting true connections. Smell the roses for shizzle my nizzle. It's lonely out here. Trust me. I struggle with superficial connection. They'll sit right with me. I'm seeking something deeper, meaningful. I think shallow and meaningless is the is very popular. So then one will become labeled as too deep or chastised. Okay, I don't swim in shallow waters. Fair enough. And I think that's why it is prudent to value the relationships that do have that. And that's what I mean about leaning into love. Let me just lean where I'm valued, where I'm appreciated, where I'm desired. Because to go against that is harmful. It is a shame. But you know, sometimes I think it's a part of the audacity to live an authentic life, which suggests inauthenticity is the kind of main script. It could be a way that I positively reframe, who knows? But to my mind, when superficiality and shallowness is vogue and you go against that, you buck the trend, then understand living an authentic life is not for the faint heart. It's the road less traveled. Wonderful book. It's the road less traveled, and I think it's a part of the quest for the way seeker, for the maverick, for the person who chooses to be an outlier. And I didn't even think you would become an outlier, right? You may have come to the conclusion that you didn't even realize, like, raw, how come I'm so alone or abandoned or undesired? I think it's a part of the quest of living a purposeful life. The unintended consequence. Take heart. This is why I create community. This is where my focus is for 2025. It's on community. Because as a therapist, I've worked with so many people singly, independently, you know. And I'm like, but if you could join up with this, you could tell, let's create community. That's what I've developed with Navigate Narcissism now. Like, we've got community. Because doing it alone It's just really hard. It's really hard. I've always been different. Only just started. Stop trying to blend in. Oh, bless you, Kay. You're finding your authentic way, your authentic rhythm. Yeah, it's a lonely road, man. And you know what I've realized? It's a lonely road because so many people choose to try to blend in, to become inauthentic. You know? It is a lonely road. But that's the value of when you meet other people on the journey. Have you read The Alchemist? It's well worth a read. I even think one of my challenges is learning to befriend the loneliness of the quest, of the journey. Because if not, what am I going to do? I can't even do it. I end up in superficial pretend relationships where I'm talking about what? The latest series on Netflix that I don't watch anyway. I tried and it was really hard because I can't join the conversation. Let's just talk about something that's real. I love real conversation, but it's not often desired. So what do? I write, you journal, and take solace in community where you are welcomed and where you are appreciated. Uniqueness is not for the faint at heart. You have to have courage to honour thyself, to be true to thyself, you know? But if you're on the path, congratulations, man. It'd be beautiful to connect with you. What time is it now? I swear I've done an hour. TikTok should be proud of me. And I do have a whole raft of other tasks to crack on with. Some are more engaging and enlightening than the others. Here we go. Yes, tick box, tick, tick. I've done my recordings. I've got to do the slide deck. I've got to do a slide deck. I have a talk for a company on the new year, and I've got to do the deck to plot through what I'm going to talk about as I do staff wellness. I'm shifting into staff wellness now, which is a beautiful part of the evolvement. My ambition is to reach more people because I think we need to hear a different narrative than it's mental health problems. Mental health problems. No, it's not mental health problems. Mental health problems are a manifestation of something deeper. Not real answers, man. It's a manifestation of something deeper. It's about an inauthentic life when we're not pursuing our potential and we don't have meaning and we may have stuff, but we feel a void. That's why we're sad. And anxiety, and often anxiety, depression, for whatever reason, many of us are traumatized. Our nervous system has been exposed to so much threat. It's one of the reasons why we live in our heads and we're always trying to work things out. Because for many of us, young souls, we didn't grow up in safe environments. So our nervous system is triggered for threat. And so we try to create safety by being in control and trying to plan and living in our heads thinking about 1,000 ways that if we take this action, that will happen. And this will happen. And so they're misdiagnosing people with all kinds of conditions rather than helping people to understand that their nervous system has been overly exposed to threat. I don't know why they're not teaching people that. So the anxiety and the depression is an offshoot. It's not the core problem. Core problem is we've been traumatized, and so our nervous system is geared for threat, and we endeavor as best we can by ourselves to create safety. And this is why when we're in them toxic relationships, boy, not great for our greatness. But it is a journey, and I believe in the process we must trust, because if you can overcome and regain your power and take responsibility for yourself, learning to understand yourself, knowing that you never arrive on your journey of self-awareness. You never arrive. There is no destination. It is the journey. As you overcome fears, learn to befriend your nervous system, knowing that your head doesn't hold the answers, knowing that there is a wisdom to your body. and that your nervous system works perfectly well. It's just you've been overly exposed to threat. And if you can befriend your nervous system, pay attention to the clues within your body, develop your self-awareness, develop self-compassion. Many of us empaths, we do not have self-compassion. We have compassion for everybody else, but you are brutal and cruel and unkind to yourself. You speak to yourself in derogatory ways. You hold yourself up to impossible standards and you browbeat yourself. This is what we need for 2025. We need self-compassion. We need self-kindness. We need to remove ourselves from situations that are harmful for us. It is survival, absolutely. You had to learn, you did the best you knew how, based on what you knew then. But there is an alternative way. And it will take all you got. And it will. And it is so worth the journey. I would rather sit with loneliness than the despair of living a lackluster life. I would rather sit with the loneliness. It's a part of the journey. It's not something I want, but I embrace it. I don't like it, but I accept that is what comes with it. And I delight in the company, in good company, in wholesome company, in enlightened conversations, in debate. Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. They didn't understand. So glad I am here. I'm feeling your words, sis. Yeah, man. Big feelers, man. You got to feel it out. You're not alone, my sister. The journey is not for the swift, but for those who endure. And living an authentic, meaningful, purpose-led life is not for the faint-hearted. So when you experience the isolation or the loneliness, understand that's because you chose an alternative way. And there's always unintended consequences. Whatever is in the light, there'll always be shadow. Whatever is in the light, there's always shadow. And so if we can acknowledge that, if we can be truthful about that and not lie to ourselves, then understanding it's a part of the quest, but at the same time also thinking about, well, what else might I need to do to fill the void? What else might I need to do? What might need to change? What might need to evolve? Welcome to 2025. My hope for you, there's been many themes that we've touched on today, and I so thank you for your engagement. It's been enlightening. And I appreciate this communication. We've touched on many, many, many different things. And some of the things that stand out to me are about purpose, meaningful life, following signs, voids. I'm thinking too hard, so it won't come to mind. But I want to thank you for listening in, tuning in. And I'm wishing you all the best for 2025. I'm wishing you to be proactive. To have courage. Remember, confidence comes from courage. To be courageous. To be proactive. That if you want something, start small. Take a small step today to do something different. I'm wishing you courage. I'm wishing you resilience. But maybe I'm thinking too hard. But be proactive. Take one small step. Developing your self-awareness is fundamental to living a good life. Thank you so much for this live. I got a lot out of it. Kay, inbox me, man. It was really beautiful connecting to you. I really appreciate your truths. You tell your truths and I'll share mine. I'll just open up like a book. I love it. I love genuine, authentic connection. God bless you guys. If you need any support, feel free. Go to my profile, connect. You are not alone. Let's commit to making 2025 a different year for you. And if it's helpful to you, find a word for your year or a statement for the year. Mine is leaning into love. Lean into love. I want to make that lean into love more concise. Last year's word was ascension, but think about a word for 2025 for you to symbolize what it is that you want for yourself. It's okay to dream. It's about being proactive and taking steps. And Kay, dear Kay, maybe there's a sign. Maybe the sign is that you are on this live today. Maybe that's a sign. And from that, I don't know, maybe there's a message in there you must take, potentially, but what do I know? probably read too many books. I am Keely Taverner, psychotherapist who's passionate about helping my empaths overcome so they can live a purposeful, meaningful life. Do take care of you, because if you don't, no one is coming to save you. We must learn to save ourselves, and that's the truth. Peace.